So your SEO has requested you have an XML sitemap for your website. This comes at a cost. You're wondering, do I really need an XML sitemap? Let me share with you why we SEOs request an XML sitemap. Firstly, crawlability is essential for your website. When you have a website, you need it to be crawled. It's foundation to SEO. Now, Google's objective is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. They do this by crawling websites. Now, your job as a website owner, assuming you want to acquire users via organic, is to ensure that your website is crawled. Now, Google crawls websites with their search bots. So Google and other search engines. Google is the biggest search engine in most markets. So we tend to use Google as the default search engine from an SEO point of view. Their job is to crawl websites and find pages. Now, they can find pages without the use of an XML sitemap, but this makes it less easy for them. And you as a website owner really need to make things as easy as possible for Google in order to service them, to serve their users better. Their users being users that you want to acquire via search engines. Now, when you submit an XML sitemap to Google, you're in the position where you can say to them what the most important pages are. So you can signal the page that you want crawled. If you have, let's say, 1,000 pages, you don't necessarily want them crawling pages like the terms and conditions or privacy pages. But the homepage, category pages, and individual product pages, you absolutely want them to be crawled. So these pages you would have in the XML sitemap, whereas these pages, perhaps not. They're less important as far as a crawling point of view is concerned. Now, discoverability is essential when you have a website. When you submit pages in an XML sitemap to Google, you're allowing them to discover pages via other pages being linked to them. In this example, the cookie dough chunks page. Because this page is linked to other pages, such as the frozen yogurt pints page, if you only submitted one page in an XML sitemap to Google, you can ensure that both pages will be crawled because they are associated together. They essentially are linked to each other. This is how the web works. If you have a flavors page and additional pages sitting below it, linked to it, even if you only submitted the flavors page, the additional pages below it will be crawled as well because it's linked to the flavors page. And by you submitting the flavors page in an XML sitemap to Google, you ensure that it's findable easily. Finally, the element of competition is a big reason why you'd want to submit an XML sitemap to Google. If your competitors are making it easy to have their pages discovered easily, and you're making it less easy, they essentially have a one-up on you, so to speak. For Ben & Jerry's, if Haagen-Dazs have an XML sitemap and Magnum has an XML sitemap, Ben & Jerry's essentially need to have an XML sitemap. The competition dictates that they have an XML sitemap. And if they want to compete in the SERPs, they need to have an XML sitemap. Now, an XML sitemap is something that all brands have. If you have a big brand like Apple that has an XML sitemap, you can ensure that this is an important element of your website that you need to have and submit to Google and other search engines, but predominantly Google. Now, in the case of Ben & Jerry's, why do you think it's important to not have error pages in an XML sitemap? Let's have a look at this one. This page right here is an error page, and it's in the XML sitemap they submitted to Google. I know this from crawling the XML sitemap, and there are 14 pages on here that have errors, essentially pages like this. Why do you think it's important not to have this sort of pages in an XML sitemap? If we're submitting pages to Google and telling Google of our important pages, there is essentially no need to have an error page in your XML sitemap. In most cases, you wouldn't have this. This is an error that Ben & Jerry's really should address. So if you have a website and are in need of an XML sitemap, you absolutely should invest in one. It will make the crawlability and discoverability of your pages a lot easier, and this will help with your site's ranking ability. All right, folks, my name is Austine Esezobor. I'm an SEO consultant. If you have an SEO problem that you want addressed, feel free to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help. Bye for now.